Welcome, wrestling fans, to the ninth edition of Joe's Hardcore Wrestling Talk Show. This is your host, Hardcore Joe, and we are now in conjunction with Mike, the Fogman, up in center ring. We are here with independent wrestling star, Chief Foxx.
How you doing, Joe?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
And before we get to the interview, we have some news, some breaking news. Ravishing Rick Rude has died of a heart attack, and he had internal cancer at the age of 39. So our condolences go out to Ravishing Rick Rude and his family. The DOA, Skull and 8 Ball, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, Paul Ellering, the Blue Meanie, and Gilbert have been let go from the World Wrestling Federation as well. And look for a lot of new athletes to pop up in the World Wrestling Federation. And we've got some UCW results from Bristol recently, and the results made it to the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. The Rhode Island area, Bristol United Championship Wrestling, the Mount Hope High School, and the Cruiserweight Championship, Iceberg defeated Dr. Feelgood. Also, Ebony Blade and Dr. Heresy beat Thrash and Draven by disqualification. And the Ladies Championship, Sandy Starr beat Keiko. And also, Don Juan DeSanto wrestled a no contest with Dane. Derek Destiny pinned the Vertebreaker. And Chief Foxx right here was wrestling to a double count out with Gino Martino, the Italian strongman. Also, Maniac Inc. defeated the tag team champions Latin Fury to regain the tag team straps. Also, the heavyweight champion Bad Boy Billy Black defeated Shane Simons. And let's get down to business now. Chief Foxx, how many years have you been in the wrestling business?
21 years.
21 years. And your pro debut, do you remember who your opponent was?
My pro debut, and it was so long ago. Pro debut. If I'm not mistaken, I was in a tag match back in Tennessee against the Tennessee Studs.
And do you have a finishing maneuver?
One of two. Either use kind of like the end of the trail drop or sleeper hold, whatever.
I'm sure all you fans know what the end of the trail is. Also, which organizations do you currently wrestle for, and have you wrestled for in the past?
Currently, I've been with the NWL out of Maryland and the UCW here in Rhode Island. As for the past, I've been all over the place, from Florida all the way up into Maine and Vermont, so it's really hard to say.
And also, have there been any titles that you've held or are hoping to hold in the near future?
Yeah, I've held the WIW Junior Heavyweight title in New Hampshire 3 times. I've held the TWWF Junior Heavyweight Championship, which was run by Alpha the Wild Samoan. I've held the Tag Team Championships with my partner Jules Strongbow up in New Hampshire with WIW. As for down here in Rhode Island, I just take whatever gold's available. They give me a shot, I'm just going to do my best.
And over your span of 21 years in wrestling, who has your toughest opponent been, if you have one?
They've all been tough. You really can't narrow it down to one specific person. Every one of them's been tough.
And also, how did you get into the business, and who trained you?
Well, back in '78, my wife at the time thought wrestling a bear was the thing to do, and we joked about it. This was in Tennessee, and we had the local NWA, which was running in Tennessee at the time, put out a challenge to fans that if you can last 3 minutes in the ring with Ginger, they give you a tryout. Ginger was a 750-pound brown bear.
Wow.
The first night that I did it was in '78, and that was in La Follette High School in Tennessee. From there, I was invited by Ronnie Garvin and Professor Malenko to appear the next night at the Knoxville Civic Center down in Knoxville, Tennessee. The next day, I was just out training. So my 2 trainers were actually the Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin, and Professor Malenko, who was Dean Malenko's father.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 men that trained me.
That's interesting. And also, who or what inspired you, if anything, to join the sport of wrestling?
Well, like I said, it was a challenge
Yeah.
to get in and wrestle a bear. from there, I mean, just talking to Ronnie Garvin and Bobby Orton and Ron and Robert Fuller and Professor Malenko, I mean, these guys were awesome. It's like sitting here doing an interview, but it's all cut up at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, you get in, do your serious training, your runs, your weights, the whole 9 yards. But it's like one big family, so that'd be really hard to answer.
And is there a favorite type of match that you have?
I like strap matches, but as for a favorite, really doesn't make any difference. A match is a match, no matter which way you look at it. You're either going to go out there and give 110%. If you don't give that 110% and you're only doing 50%, you shouldn't even win that night. You should be home.
Yeah. And also, is there a match that sticks out in your mind that you've witnessed that is your favorite type of match that you've seen?
Not really, no. Not really. I mean, I've been through basically all of them. The only ones I haven't done is a barbed wire match. But I've basically been through every match there is, including a cage. And they're basically all the same. Just that you have to prepare yourself mentally for one more than the other.
And also, you've been in the wrestling business 21 years. Are there any goals that you haven't achieved yet that you're still looking to achieve?
No, I think I've done everything I've wanted to do.
And who do you dislike the most in the wrestling business, if anybody?
Who do I dislike? Well, in all actuality, there is nobody in the business to actually dislike. I mean, wrestling itself, it is like baseball players, hockey, basketball. You're all one family.
Yeah.
You know, so basically there's really nobody that you can actually dislike. You know, because when you're in that building, come turn of a camera, ringing a bell, you're out for a win, no matter who. So your friendships or whatever's out the window. So in all actuality, I really can't say anyone.
And have you had any injuries?
Oh yeah, plenty. I've broken a couple ribs. I've separated my AC joint in my shoulder. Just recently, I got jumped in Hartford and had my hand slammed into car doors. So all the tendons are pretty. It's healing up pretty good now, but. So yeah, there's been plenty of injuries.
And is there a wrestler out there that you look up to in the wrestling business?
Well, I can always take and say my mentor, Professor Malenko, Ronnie Garvin.
Yeah.
But a man that I've recently hooked up with in the last 10 years since being in the New England area would be Jules Strongbow. Chief Strongbow is, not only do we get together at powwows and everything, but if I've got a problem or so forth, so on, I can just give him a call. So he's basically like a father figure to me. And he gives me some good advice.
And is there anybody that you're looking to wrestle in Unified Championship Wrestling that you haven't gotten your hands on yet? Any feuds going on around or anything?
Well, you know, Gino Martino, him and I went back a couple years. I wound up in New Hampshire, wrestled him a couple times. He split. Finally found him in Rhode Island. I've had 3 matches with him. In all 3 matches, I've beat him. I mean, rule books are thrown out the window, so whether you win by disqualification or a clean pin doesn't make any difference. It's still a win. Yeah. A win is a win and a loss is a loss. But then again, you don't count your win-loss in wrestling. You don't count them at all. The only thing that matters is you go out, you give your 110%, out the door you go. You give the fans what they want. As for what I'm looking for, yeah, I owe some payback to, how would I say it, a couple Sting wannabes. Okay. I think you know who I'm talking about. I see a grin. You know, it's bad enough Strongbow and I beat him in a steel chair match. Yeah, we beat him first and had the right to use the steel chair, but we chose not to. Yeah. Just to prove to these little punks that you don't need a steel chair to win, you know. Old school is old school. Old school, Southern old school, is the same as hardcore, no matter which way you look at it. And we proved that point. So the only thing I can say is the Outcast. I'm looking to more or less get some revenge. Okay. You know, so I think those guys better watch their steps.
All right. Challenge me then. And also, do you have a favorite tag team of all time?
Oh, Jesus. You're looking at 21 years of seeing so many tag teams. You know, there's, you can't pick any. You had the Rock and Roll Express, you had the Midnight Express. God, those two stick out in my brain a lot. You had the American Eagles. You know, I mean, there's so many. You had the Horsemen. There's just so many, it's hard to name. You can't specifically say one because each one was and is good in their time. So I really can't pick a favorite out of it.
And also, if you were given the opportunity to wrestle anybody from any time, who would you be more interested in wrestling?
Yeah, that'd be hard to say. There's a lot of great talent out there. I would have to say Kevin Sullivan, the Boston Brawler Kevin Sullivan. When I first came to the area in New England, I was with ICW for a while, and me and Roberto Soto were tag teaming together against Kevin Sullivan and the Purple Haze. Bill didn't even ring, we got jumped. So we never actually had a chance to do any fight backs. You know, and then here come Barry Windham and his father, Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, we didn't have a chance at all. So I would say I'd go back with the Boston Brawler, Kevin Sullivan, just to see what would actually happen. You know?
And also, do you have any advice out there for the wrestling fans, how to get involved in the business?
You know, advice is basically like opinions. First thing is you got to be 18 at least. Second thing is find a reputable school, a reputable teacher. Don't go to somebody and say, hey, you know, I want to be a wrestler. Here's $5,000. Do what you want to do. It's wrong. Check out the school. Check out the wrestler. See who this guy has trained. You know, there's so many good schools around, and so many people that you have your independence, and it seems like there's a school like every block. A lot of the guys that are running schools, like I was wrestling somebody recently who said they're better than their teacher. And to be honest with you, the kid was better than his teacher. I wrestled his teacher. His teacher couldn't wrestle. So as far as I'm concerned, the kid literally got his money taken, and he had to learn to wrestle on his own.
Yeah.
I say find a good school and find a good teacher. Make sure you check with people. Make sure that they're reputable. Otherwise, you're going to waste your money.
Well, we thank you, Chief Foxx, for coming
Well, I
out.
thank you, Joe. You have a good day, and thanks again. And correction for you,
Sure.
Blue Meanie has not been released. He's been called back.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
A couple of the guys have been called back already,
Oh, okay.
just to let you know. Okay?
Remember to catch Chief Foxx on the independent circuit, especially in the Rhode Island area, the Unified Championship Wrestling. And we hope to see you back on the show in the near future.
No, hopefully I'll be back. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to bring on an independent star as well from Yankee Pro Wrestling, Suicidal Silva, the light heavyweight. Hey,
Doing, Joe?
how many years have you been pro here in the sport of wrestling?
I haven't been, I only started in February because of this year, February 19th was my first match. So I haven't been in that long. I started training at the Yankee school. So I've only been around for a couple of months.
And how do you feel about being in Yankee Pro Wrestling? Any feuds going around there?
It's an alright place. Hopefully I'll get called on to better places, you know, because I'm still, you know, young. I've just started. I mean, but feuds going on there, I'm not in any right now, so I really don't care what's going on there right now. So it's whatever feuds are going on there right now, it's their business, and I stay to myself. Basically, that's what it is.
And your pro debut, do you remember who you wrestled in Feb?
Yeah, it was a big lightweight tournament. There was 10 guys in it. It was me and a bunch of other guys in it, and we all drew numbers in the back, and we'd go out in the order that we drew the number and try and win the lightweight belt. Johnny Idol won that match, by the way.
And who is your toughest opponent been since you started?
I've had 2 matches with Johnny Idol for the lightweight belt, and he's been my toughest opponent out of a few matches that I've had, but he's been my toughest opponent so far, and I like wrestling Johnny Idol. He's a good wrestler, but he's tough to beat too.
And who or what inspires you to join the sport of wrestling?
I've ever since the age of 10, 11 years old, I've always wanted to do this. I used to look at the TV and say, I can do that one day. I mean, I'm not big in anything, but, you know, that's what lightweights are for, lightweight divisions. What inspired me was just, like, watching it and saying I could do that. Watching, then later on, a few years later, ECW came out, and you'd watch guys like Sabu, the Sandman. Sabu inspired me to do my style, which isn't, I haven't gotten to show it off yet, but which I'm trying to show it off in every match. My style of wrestling, which would be Suicidal, thus the name Suicidal Silva.
And are there any challenges you'd like to make out there?
Yeah, definitely. There goes this guy by the name of Reckless Youth in some NWA organization, and I'm challenging him out because he shows up in these magazines once in a while, and he thinks he's great because he does a somersault onto 3 guys, and I go out there, I do 1 somersault onto 1 guy and hurt my back. Well, that's fine, because I'm challenging Reckless Youth, and you know, you can find me down in Yankee or whatever. I'll give this guy a call or something. And I'll make it another challenge. I know this one's going too far because I've only been in this sport for a little while, but I'm calling out Sabu too because I think we could have a good, hardcore, death-defying, suicidal, high-flying, whatever you want to call it, match. I think we could do something good with that. Don't you think?
Definitely.
I think so.
And also, what injuries have you had since you started?
I've only wrestled a few matches, like I said, and every time I somersault, it's usually, you know, sometimes I'll hit the guy well, I won't get hurt. Other times I'll graze him, and my first injury came when, I don't know, I guess I ripped something in my forearm after I somersaulted. I just hit the ground because I was wrestling Aaron Morrison in a 6-man tag, and I threw him out of the ring, and he was way out there. So I climbed up and I shot myself out, and I just, like, touched his shoulder and fell, and I don't know, I ripped something here. And then the second one came this past Saturday when I was wrestling Gorgeous Gino Giovanni up in New Bedford, and I somersaulted onto him again. And I guess, I don't know, he moved back or something, and I just hit the concrete with my lower back, which is bruised. There's a couple of lumps in it. I don't know what it is, but I should get this checked out by a doctor or something. But those have been my main injuries, other than training, which I've bruised a rib, but that's about it.
And who or what inspires you to join the sport of wrestling, and who trained you as well?
Like I said before, basically Sabu inspired me. Who trained me was he's a Yankee star. He's in Yankee right now. Brickhouse Baker. He runs the Yankee school up in New Bedford, and he's my teacher. He's a great guy, and he's my trainer.
And obviously, you're looking to win the light heavyweight title.
Right, because obviously you can tell by my size I'm not a heavyweight, barely even making to a middleweight. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for is a lightweight belt.
And what's the best match you've ever witnessed? Whether it be in person or on TV, of all time.
I don't know. I kind of like I like Sabu and Van Dam a lot, so I think that any match between Sabu and Van Dam have been great. Those two stick out most. Like any match that I see with them, I think of them as great matches. Those would be my best, and a bunch of Japanese matches. Those are countless. I can go on forever naming those.
And as it seems, your favorite type of matches would be a hardcore match then?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten to do many. I've done a steel cage match in my short career, but the match that I'd like to do would be something like a barbed wire match, like take off the ropes, put on barbed wire instead, and do something like that, you know, something bloody, sick, gory.
Also, who's your favorite wrestler of all time, your favorite tag team of all time?
My favorite wrestler of all time? I don't know. Maybe Rob Van Dam. He can brawl, he can high fly, he can do technical, he can do it all. Best tag team of all time, I'd say the Eliminators, because another team that could do brawling, high flying, technical stuff too. I mean, they were good guys until Saturn moved on to WCW. Now Cronus is lost in the shuffle in ECW. That's a different story.
And who do you dislike the most, if anybody, in the wrestling business?
Usually you stay away from questions like that because then you end up in trouble.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, you know. But right now, really, I don't know. I know some people, but you don't know enough to dislike anybody right now.
Yeah.
You try to make friends with everybody you see.
And are you a fan of the big three?
Definitely ECW. Yeah.
ECW?
I mean, I watched WWF and WCW, but nothing like ECW. I love that stuff.
And do you have a favorite pay-per-view out there?
Anything with ECW. Any ECW pay-per-view that they put out, I order it.
And do you plan on making it far in the business? Are you looking to make it far, or is this a temporary thing?
No, I plan on making it far. I mean, when I first started in this, even years ago, I always used to say I'm gonna make it into the big time someday. And with my size, it's kind of hard. But now that they've got lightweight divisions and ECW, you know, they'll take a lot of people, hardcore, whatever, you know. My main place I want to go to is ECW, because I think I can live up to the hardcore attitude, the hardcore style, you know. I'm willing, if somebody told me to jump off the balcony and go through 3 tables, yeah, I'll do it, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, not get paid or get paid $10, whatever, but I do that.
And also, WWF In Your House will be at the Providence Civic Center this Sunday. It's In Your House Backlash. What are your predictions on that, the main event?
With Steve Austin and The Rock.
Yeah.
Steve Austin,
Okay, and then,
because, yeah, Steve.
and of course, there's Undertaker and Ken Shamrock.
Undertaker.
And there's the Boiler Room Brawl, Mankind against
That
Paul
one's
White.
going to be, they don't know what to do with Mankind. They'll probably turn something around where Big Show wins that.
Alright. And also, Al Snow will be taking on Hardcore Holly for the Hardcore title.
Hardcore Holly all the way.
And members of the Brood in a triple threat, in a triple tag team match, will be taking on members of the Ministry of Darkness, Viscera, and probably the Acolytes.
The Brood,
The Brood.
definitely. See, the Brood's an example of lightweights, too. They've got Christian, Edge,
Yeah.
right? There's lightweights that made it into the big time. I mean, they're with The Undertaker now, stuff like that, you know? They were, are, with Gangrel. But that's an example of independence. Lightweights, going up, moving up. And that's what I plan to do, hopefully, sometime soon.
And we thank you.
Thank you,
Suicidal
Joe.
Silva. Coming out, you can catch Suicidal Silva, Yankee Pro Wrestling, Yankee Pro Independent Wrestling, and you can catch him in Fall River, Mass, and New Bedford, Mass, as well. Remember to watch Joe's Hardcore Wrestling Talk Show, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 2:30 in the East Providence area. We will also be going on to the Interconnect Channel A in the near future, where we'll give more information about that. And as Chief Foxx pointed out earlier, some of those guys from the World Wrestling Federation have been called back, Blue Meanie being one of them. And like I said earlier, our condolences go out to Ravishing McRude and his family. And we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
We'll be showing
Bring me on
clips.
your show.
Definitely. We'll be showing clips of you and Chief Foxx in the future here on Joe's Hardcore Wrestling Talk Show. And you catch the most hardcore action here on Joe's Hardcore Wrestling Talk Show. And if you'd like to write to the show, write to Joe Bruen, that's B-R-U-E-N, at Providence, Rhode Island. And that's P.O. Box 28104, 02908 is the zip code on that one. So keep watching, fans, and we'll see you at the matches.
And Reckless Youth, you've got my challenge. You know where to find me. Right there.
See you later, wrestling fans.